The Prime Minister on speaking with Trump, doing deals with India, and maybe even Alberta. This is Now You Know. I'm Rob Snow.
The answers you need
from the people in the know.
This is Now You Know with Rob Snow on News Radio.
Prime Minister Carney is back in Canada, arriving from South Africa just a few hours ago. And during a news conference at the conclusion of the latest G20 Leaders Summit, some comments from the Prime Minister are causing a stir. Mr. Carney was asked by a news reporter when was the last time he spoke with Donald Trump. And this is what he said.
Next question.
Who cares? I mean, it's a detail. It's a detail. I spoke to him. I'll speak to him again when it matters.
Who cares? It's a detail. I'll speak to him again when it matters. And then he went on to say there's no big reason to speak with Trump these days.
I look forward to speaking to the president soon, but I don't have a burning issue to speak with the president about right now. When America wants to come back and have the discussions on the trade side, we will have those discussions.
Mr. Carney also claimed the other reason he hasn't been speaking with Trump is because he's had other things to do.
We've had discussions. I've been busy. There's another point, though. I've been busy. We passed a budget with that's going to catalyze $1 trillion of investment. We have launched new trade agreements. We've secured new investment in the country of a size not seen arguably before. So we're busy. He's got other things to do, and we'll re-engage when it's appropriate.
One of the other things Prime Minister Carney has been doing is agreeing to launch free trade talks with India. India's Prime Minister, Modi, has also invited Mr. Carney to visit India. Relations between Canada and India have been rough in recent years. Prime Minister Trudeau accused agents of the Indian government of murdering Sikh activists on Canadian soil. Both countries expelled diplomats over that. India suspended visa services for Canadians, and trade talks were frozen. CSIS has said Canada has to be careful in its dealings with India. Prime Minister Carney insisted Canada has expressed its concerns about some of India's actions to India's leadership.
Any forms of foreign interference, we have to remain vigilant. We are vigilant. I got my security clearance well in advance of becoming Prime Minister, and that's sort of table stakes for vigilance. And I'm well aware of, as a consequence of the threat landscape, the views of CSIS, the protections we've taken, and there's engagement with a variety of nations on protecting Canadians, and we will continue to do that. Secondly, I've just referred to my exchange a moment ago, which is what's essential is, at its base, is the cooperation amongst law enforcement, national security advisors, establishing that clear relations, clear messages delivered. That has been reestablished with India.
And on trade talks, the Prime Minister suggested India just can't be ignored. It's the world's fifth largest economy.
You know, Canada has quite an actual strong commercial relationship with India. We are one of the largest, for example, foreign investors in India. Canada is. And there have been tight ties. What we're looking to do is to put that on a sound footing through a potential trade agreement between the two countries, which give protections to our businesses, protections to Indian businesses, clear set of rules, dispute mechanisms, and others, and build on those opportunities.
With the Prime Minister now back in Canada, there might be some other news soon about a deal between his government in Ottawa and the Danielle Smith government in Alberta on energy policy and a possible pipeline to BC. This is what the Prime Minister is willing to say about that for now.
Big picture, what we're looking to do and what we are doing is a series of major investments, nation-building projects that make our country stronger, more independent from the United States, and that these projects are done in a way that benefit and have the full support of Indigenous peoples and are consistent with our climate goals.
The BC Premier David Eby is dead set against a new pipeline, but he is starting to sound like someone who may have no say in the matter.
We have been quite frank with Alberta and with the federal government that although we never supported the pipeline and we're not enthusiastic about it, we're good team players on Team Canada, and we're willing to do what we can to support an expansion project if it's needed. We ask other provinces to step up and help us out, and we understand that need too. But this work is made more difficult when we have other provinces, specifically Saskatchewan and Alberta, coming in trying to tell British Columbia how to run our province, and most specifically to attack an oil tanker ban off our coast that is the foundation for consent and support for tens of thousands of jobs and billions of dollars of investment in the province of British Columbia.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith just a few days ago was sounding optimistic. There could soon be good news about a pipeline.
We are making a very, very strong case that building a new pipeline to Asian markets is in the national interest. We are finding some receptivity on the part of the new Prime Minister, and I would say if we're going to get a deal, it will be in a matter of weeks.
Maybe it will be even sooner than that. There is one news report today that says Alberta and Ottawa could announce a new energy deal as soon as Thursday of this week. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know, and this is News Radio.
Now You Know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
Why are beef prices so high? How have Canadians' eating habits changed this year? Are they really still buying Canadian? Why did a major Canadian potash producer decide to build an export terminal in the United States instead of Canada? Let's dig into some of these issues with Professor Sylvain Charlebois from the Agri-Food Analytics Lab at Dalhousie University, director there. Good to hear from you today.
Good to hear from you as well.
Why are beef prices so high?
How long is your show? I mean, I think everyone has noticed that beef prices are high. In fact, so the food inflation rate right now is at 3.4%. If you take out meat, that would bring down food inflation at around 2%. So it's a massive problem. Yeah.
Okay.
And so beef prices have been an issue since cattle producers, both in the U.S. and Canada, have sent their herds to auction early because feed costs just skyrocketed. And that was probably about 18 months ago. It started about 18 months ago, and cattle futures have been just beating records, record after record, really, both sides of the border. So the beef, the herd size in Canada is about the same size as it was back in 1989. In the U.S., it's even worse. Their herd size is the same size as it was back in 1951. So there's just no inventory. So cattle producers went out, sold their herds, but they're not rebuilding at all. They're either exiting or they're just waiting. And so that seems to be the problem. And we don't see how the situation will get resolved before probably mid-year 2027.
Okay. So, what's happening on the import side? You've been writing about that recently.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we all know that in the U.S., the White House has been quite vocal about this. Not only they're investigating beef packers, and there are a handful of beef packers in the U.S., but they're also allowing beef from other parts of the world, including Argentina and Brazil. In Canada, we have seen some imports from Australia. I'm not sure, Rob, if you've noticed at the meat counter. I've certainly noticed that there is some beef from Australia, from New Zealand, and in fact, these prices are actually quite competitive, and also from Mexico as well. And so, but imports have been limited. What most people may not know is that in Ottawa, there is a committee looking into beef imports. So we do have quotas to allow more imports into the country to basically bring down prices as much as possible. But that committee, which is heavily controlled by producers and packers, we only have two major ones in Canada, Cargill and GBS, they haven't met since 2015. So we don't know exactly what's going on there.
Okay. All right. Your research lab, Agri-Food Analytics Lab at Dalhousie University, recently released something called the Canadian Food Sentiment Index Fall 2025. What did it reveal?
It revealed that food inflation remains a huge concern for many Canadians, and many Canadians are expecting food inflation to remain an issue well into the new year. In fact, Rob, I can tell you next week, on December 4th, we're releasing the 16th annual food price report. And so that's it's an effort between 10 universities around the country, including Dalhousie, my university. So we'll be releasing Canada's food price report, giving Canadians a sense of what's going to happen with food prices over the next 12 months. But right now, a lot of people, based on our index, a lot of people are still concerned about that. And they're looking for different ways to save money, too. Couponing is a big one, but now more and more people are looking at price matching, of course, and membership programs, loyalty programs, and they're more generous than before because no one's loyal anymore. So grocers want you and I to go back to the same store more often, so they're offering more to get us back as much as possible, and people are noticing.
Okay. What about Buy Canada? What's happening there?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, a lot of people have I've heard many comments about the Buy Canadian movement or the Buy Local movement, and in light of what's been happening with geopolitics, from when you look at surveys, obviously people will say that they do buy Canadian, but when you actually look at sales data, actual commitments at the till, the Buy Canadian movement is a little more muted, if you will. So when you look at products made in Canada, so the last step of processing occurred in Canada, but you may actually find some ingredients from abroad, sales are up about 8 to 9% in last year, which is in the last, I'd say, 6 months to 8 months, which is actually not bad. Products of Canada up 3.5%. That's not a whole lot given food inflation. But the products that are made from America, that's down 10.5%. So clearly there is a boycott against American products for sure.
Okay. Interesting. When we come back, we'll talk about Nutrien and its decision not going over well in Ottawa, as you can imagine. We'll be right back with the food professor, Sylvain Charlebois from Dalhousie University. This is News Radio.
Now you know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
We are back with Professor Sylvain Charlebois, the director at the Agri-Food Analytics Lab at Dalhousie University. So Nutrien came about as the merger between Potash Corp of Saskatchewan and Agrim, which was based in Calgary. So a significant player, obviously, in Canadian agriculture in potash, and it's been looking for a place to build a new export terminal for $1 billion, and it's not going to be in Canada. It's not going to be Prince Rupert. Instead, it's going to be in Longview, Washington. What do you think about that?
It was disappointing, and so first of all, for people, most people may not know what is Nutrien, but Nutrien is one of the largest players in the world when it comes to fertilizers, And fertilizer is something you need if you want to grow food. And many parts of the world, well, they need fertilizer, and nutrients is a big part of that. And so you need logistics, you need infrastructure. And this is something we need in Canada. Of course, the public sector, governments can do its part. And if you look at the latest budget, Prime Minister Carney and the Liberals are planning to spend $118 billion over 5 years on infrastructure, which is certainly welcome news. But you also need the private sector to invest as well. And so a lot of people were expecting Nutrien to I guess, empower the West and build capacity there to develop the East Asia market. And but they decided to actually invest in the U.S. At least that's the information we got from the Globe and Mail. So it would be a huge disappointment because we need more investments, not only in BC, but you just mentioned Prince Rupert. I've always believed that Prince Rupert is just underdeveloped, has tremendous potential. Often we think of Vancouver as a portal, but Prince Rupert has tremendous potential to basically develop the Asian Pacific market over the next 10 to 20 years.
Yeah, and I wonder how Premier Scott Moe feels in Saskatchewan. I was listening to some remarks that he made last week, primarily about the talks about an oil pipeline going to Prince Rupert and that his government hasn't been involved with those talks. But at that time, he was saying it's not just about energy from Saskatchewan, it's about agricultural products like potash from Saskatchewan. And maybe he was thinking that there would be some good news from Nutrien. I mean, you're talking about this is the export for Saskatchewan, right?
Absolutely, it's pink gold. That's what we call it, pink gold potash.
Yeah,
yeah, and frankly, as soon as you start seeing more investments going in one direction, it becomes contagious. And so you could create with $1 billion, you can create some momentum and a flux of investment into one region and get more companies to invest. And it's something in Regina, we actually did see that a few years ago when we started to see companies like Loblaws building distribution centers, and all of a sudden you saw other companies invest in that region to create this hub. When you think about logistics, you need hubs, you need intermodal capacity. And
right.
Again, Nutrien would have played a huge part for the Canadian West.
Okay, great to hear from you today. Thank you for the time.
Take care,
Have fun
Rob.
next week.
Bye-bye.
That's your big report is coming out next week on food prices for next year. That's Professor Sylvain Charlebois, the director of the Agri-Food Analytics Lab at Dalhousie University in Halifax. This is News Radio. With our Monday Newsday political panel with Tim Powers, the chair of Summa Strategies. Welcome back, Tim Powers.
Good to be with you, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Very good today.
Good.
Cam Homstrom, principal at Niipaawi Strategies this year. How are you, Cam?
Very good. Enjoying a nice Monday so far.
Okay, that's good. Very good. Let's talk about Prime Minister Mark Carney. He was asked by a news reporter when he last spoke with U.S. President Donald Trump, and he told the news reporter, who cares? Who cares? He said there's no burning issue that requires a conversation between them. Tim Powers, what do you think of those remarks? Who cares? We have nothing to talk about right now. Who cares?
In a strange way, Rob. In a strange way, I actually liked it. I'm sure Trump didn't. He was probably disappointed. I mean, I get that others view it as dismissive, and yep, it's the biggest issue we have going, but I think it kind of speaks to the change in tone the government's now taking. Like, you know what? All right, Washington, you can sulk and suck on this and that and the other thing, and we're going to go about our business. I think it's a difficult balance to strike with getting the comms right around Trump and how we're dealing with him. I actually thought it was funny, to be honest with you, but I suspect what I should say, Rob, is he should have said he hasn't, and it's a more pressing issue, but I didn't. I just said what I did.
Right. Okay. He thought it was funny. He thought this was funny. Tim Powers thought this was funny. Let's listen to it here.
Next question.
Who cares? I mean, it's a detail. It's a detail. I spoke to him. I'll speak to him again when it matters.
It's a detail. Who cares? Who cares? It's a detail. It's a detail. Cam, what do you think of that?
See, I don't disagree with Tim because honestly, I'm glad he's out there. He's not sitting by the phone waiting for Donnie to call him up and tell him everything's all right. Like that's what he should be doing. He should be out there doing it. But this to me is where the rookie politician part of Mark Carney strikes, which is a little disappointing. Because do I like the choice of words? I appreciate the honesty, but it's the choice of words. I'm like, no, just because that's not going away. Someone's going to use that against him somewhere down the line, and he'll probably be kicking himself when that day comes. But the idea that, look, he's out there. Like between the trip to the United Arab Emirates, we got a bunch of investment. The G20, everything that was happening in Ottawa last week with the Swedes coming in. Like there's a lot happening, a lot being done to basically try to make up for the fact that the situation of the Americans is so bad. People want to talk to us. They want to invest in us. Who knew? Donald Trump tells us he wants nothing from us. Apparently, a lot of the rest of the world does. So instead of sitting around the phone waiting for Donnie to get his tidy whities out of a knot, he's out there doing what he's supposed to be doing. That's good on it. And honestly, I think that's one of the best ways to put pressure on this president because now he's being left out. Like note last week when the ambassador noted that we're looking at the Swedish jets now. And like, oh, wait a minute. No. You got to buy our jets now. And now you really need us. Like that's how you put their nose out of joint. That's how you get their attention by showing, hey, guess what? You say you don't need us? Fine. We don't need you. We'll go talk to other people.
Really? There's no burning issue. Well, what if I work at a Stellantis factory? What if I work at let me finish. What if I work at a Stellantis factory in Southern Ontario? Isn't there a burning issue? What if I work in a lumber mill in British Columbia? Isn't there a burning issue? There's no burning issue?
Of course
right?
There are, but I mean, take it in context, right? This is the same week that we get, what's his name, Pete Hoekstra, whining and moaning again about, Canadians, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes being flippant or dismissive, as Carney was there, is not a terrible thing. Look, I think the people you just mentioned know that the government is working on those things, but they equally know that Donald Trump is not a rational actor. So again, should he be there? Oh, Donald Trump, I'm sitting waiting by the phone. If he did that, he'd be taking the criticism again. He's got his elbows down and letting Donald Trump walk over him. It's a hard one to win. I think respectfully to my good friend Rob Snow, who I've known for nearly 30 years, people foaming at the mouth on this are getting a little too silly about it.
Okay, but to my point, what if I am an auto worker in Southern Ontario, or what if I am working in a mill in British Columbia somewhere, or in an aluminum or steel factory somewhere in Canada? Don't I want my prime minister to be speaking with Donald Trump and getting back to the table and getting these trade talks stalled before I lose my job? Cam?
But Rob, not to gang up on you with Tim here on you, but
that's
how
okay.
else are you going to find
I can
other
take
business?
it. I'll take both of you.
How else can you find the other business, right? How else are you going to find these other markets if the Americans are going to be so fickle if you're not talking to other people? Plus, let's just be honest about how Donald Trump thinks, right? If he thinks you're not pretty and you're not nice and no one's paying attention to you, he's going to treat you badly. But the second other people start saying, wow, Canada, you look pretty good. Let's get closer. All of a sudden, Donnie there gets envious and jealous, like, whoa, I saw her first. Come on now.
Okay.
Like, honestly, how else get his attention, right? Like, the fact is, if you're going to sit there and be a supplicant and sit back and try to just go to his erratic whims, you're not going to get anywhere, right? We haven't been getting anywhere. And I'll just note, at the end of the day, there's two parts of this. Yeah, we want to try to have a solid relationship with our neighbors. We also realize, though, we cannot go back to what we were doing where we were so dependent on them economically. That means you have to be out doing this other stuff. So I'm glad the PM's not talking about it. He's actually doing it. That's a good sign.
Okay. Does that include Alberta? because there are reports that there could be news this week on a deal between Alberta and Ottawa. I want to talk about that next when we come back on our political panel. This is News Radio.
You have questions.
Now you know with Rob Snow has the answers.
On News Radio.
Here with Tim Powers from Summa Strategies and from Niipaawi Strategies, Cam Homstrom, talking politics to start the week. Cam, if there is going to be a deal on energy policy and maybe even a pipeline to the West Coast announced maybe as soon as Thursday between the government of Alberta and the federal government in Ottawa, what could happen next?
Well, if the deal is what's being reported, nothing's going to happen, and that's what's got me so confused about this, Rob. Is I'm very perplexed as to the hell or high water approach to this one specific route to this one specific part of the northwest of BC. When, as the Globe and Mail was reporting last week, there are at least a half dozen other proponents of projects out there, two of which I know are Indigenous-owned, Indigenous-backed, and Indigenous support to get Alberta oil to Tidewater and to also supply Canadian refineries in the east. There's the opportunity to expand the production in Trans Mountain, which could be done in a couple of years. So I'm confused as to why it is so many eggs are being put solely in that one basket, where you have First Nations who are vehemently opposed, not only for the reasons for the project, but also because this project would actually kill LNG projects that have actual backers, actual investment, and actual Indigenous equity.
Why would it do that? Premier Eby keeps saying that. Why would it do that?
This is what the nations are saying too, Rob. And this is my point. We're talking about a hypothetical versus a real thing. And that's what's blowing my mind about this. Again, like, something's going to get built. There will be more pipelines to Tidewater. I am not doubting that for a moment. But I'm trying to figure out why it is that Premier Smith would be so hell-bent on this option and this option alone. Because, again, it's even if you went with it, if anything's going to get built, it's not coming for a decade. It's not going to help today. It will not help production anytime in the near future. Like, just the Trans Mountain piece alone, you could have new oil to Asian markets in less than 2 years, right? That's rocket speed compared to what we've been used to in this country. So again, it's like there are so many options out there. Like, she's looking to give tourists in the mouth, and it's like, I don't know why. But hey, this is why we'll see what the Prime Minister does.
Okay.
If the Prime Minister buys into this, he is sinking a whole lot of political capital into something that unfortunately may never actually deliver, which is sad because there are a lot of opportunities for something to be delivered.
All right, let's listen a little bit to Premier Eby because he's not sounding, well, when I listen to, this is me reading between the lines, this is a premier who is sounding resigned to the fact he's getting an oil pipeline from Alberta. Let's listen to this.
We have been quite frank with Alberta and with the federal government that although we never supported the pipeline and we're not enthusiastic about it, we're good team players on Team Canada, and we're willing to do what we can to support an expansion project if it's needed. We ask other provinces to step up and help us.
That's good. Yeah, that's not what he used to say. Just last week, it was, this is a figment of somebody's imagination in Edmonton. It will never happen. All of this stuff. He sounds resigned to the fact that there's going to be a pipeline to BC. That's my reading of it. What do you think, Tim, about what's going on here?
I think this is fascinating on a bunch of levels because what we haven't said yet is that in the two tranches of major projects that have been announced, a bunch have been for BC. So it sounds like EB, sees this as a potential trade-off. The other thing here, which is fascinating for me as an Atlantic Canadian, Rob, is if the federal government and Alberta do some MOU on this, what does this mean for other major projects? One that comes to mind, Churchill Falls. Newfoundland and Labrador, as you know, has been after the federal government for years to get into the game of redressing the past. That what sort of precedent does it set? The final thing is, how real is this versus the broader message I think Carney is trying to drive, which is telling the world, telling the country he's open for business and he's going to do things better. And I think he can drive this for a while, but at a certain point, there's got to be delivery. And the delivery has got to be quicker than waiting for a project to be built over 5 years, because the very people you mentioned a few moments ago in the auto sector and the forestry sector and elsewhere who are hurting, if they don't see there's something for them soon that is going to look after their economic well-being, all of the deal-making, creative or otherwise, is going to cause a challenge for the Prime Minister.
Cam, do you think Carney could face any kind of dissent for what I would call the environmental liberals in his caucus?
I think he'd run his dissent beyond that. And I'd argue only if it is that one pipeline to the northwest. Like, honestly, anything else at this point I think works and gets done. Like, that's why I believe you see Premier Eby kind of putting that on the table with the expansion, a further expansion of TMX. It's like, look, this is a compromise I can make, right? And I think that's the thing, too, is that that's why this approach is really baffling to me. It seems like it's pushing too hard. It's overplaying the hand, because whereas there were very few options before, now there's a lot of them, right? Like, honestly, Danielle Smith can pretty much pick and choose what she wants right now. So why it's that? Yeah, I think that would bring the environmental blowback, the Indigenous blowback. Like, that'll get tied up in the courts for a decade. It will not go anywhere. So again, do I get something built in 10 years from now? Maybe. Or do you want to get it done today? Because there are a lot of options right now to go ahead today.
All right. When we come back, the Conservative Party of Canada has a new campaign manager, and his name is not Jenny. We'll be right back. This is News Radio.
No question goes unasked or unanswered.
Now You Know with Rob Snow returns on News Radio.
Tim Bowers with us, Cam Homstrom with us as well for our Newsday political panel. According to reports, Steve Outhouse will be the campaign manager for the Conservative Party of Canada whenever the next election is. What do you think of that decision, Tim Powers?
Well, I think it is true, because Pierre Poilievre confirmed it to VOCM News, by the way, Rob, when he was in VOCM yesterday, and he said the reason Steve Outhouse took the job, much like Brian Lilly had reported, was he wanted to deal with the challenges young people are facing in affordability. And anyway, that was Poilievre's spin. I would say I think it's a good appointment. I think Steve, of course, just won an election in Newfoundland and Labrador. For me, I've seen him work with a bunch of different governments. I know he will be criticized for being a Christian conservative, and that will influence his views. I haven't seen any evidence of that in the provinces where I know he has worked. I think he shows he can build teams. So, maybe there's bigger messaging that Poilievre wants delivered here, but on the surface, I think it's a good appointment, and he's a guy who's won elections. So that's what you want in your campaign manager.
Sure thing. Yeah, beats the alternative. What do you think, Cam?
You know what? He's won campaigns. The criticism that Tim mentions is exactly where I was going to go, because that is definitely part of what he comes in with. But at the end of the day, I don't know how much of a difference that it makes, because the way that Mr. Poilievre controls his caucus, I'm assuming he controls his campaigns that way too. So I'm assuming this individual, as talented as they may be, is going to be on a tight leash no matter what. But that's what they've signed up for, and they'll have to work with that.
How would you suggest he be different from Jenny Byrne, Cam? What would you say to that?
To be honest, maybe in temperament would be the thing, but at the end of the day, this won't be his campaign. It's going to be Pierre Poilievre's campaign. And I think that really at the end of the day, the leader's going to set the tone on that. That's why I think he and Jenny Byrne, because they had their long-time relationship, there was that synergy there. I don't picture that changing. And really, there's nothing in the messaging he's been giving outwardly that would lead me to believe he's going to change that. I don't see this as a change of direction. I see this as a slight veer in direction.
Okay, I was thinking more along the lines of Tim, playing nice with people like Tim Houston, or playing nice with people like Doug Ford, progressive conservatives, but who've won elections.
Well, and on the playing nice part, I mean, he's done a lot of work in Atlantic Canada, right? It's an important region for the Conservatives. Poilievre, again, was in Newfoundland and Labrador this week, and of course he was there trying to get votes, right? He's got a Liberal leadership review coming. Outhouse is where you're from. He's from Nova Scotia. He's worked in New Brunswick. He won an election there. There was some controversy when he was there about some of the positions he was accused of helping advance then Premier Blaine Higgs with. But for me, as a progressive Conservative, yes, I still identify that way. The fact that he comes from Atlantic Canada, understands the region very well, brings a more common sense approach to things, can only be good for the Conservatives.
All right. Have to wrap it up there. Thank you so much. Great start to the week for our political conversations. We'll speak soon. All the best. Bye-bye.
Take care, Rob. Bye.
Yeah. Cam Holmstrom is a principal at Niipaawi Strategies, the pride of Kenora, Ontario. And Tim Powers does a lot of work in St. John's, Newfoundland, is the chair of Summa Strategies and managing director at Abacus Data. Talkback is coming up right after the news. Talkback, we're going to talk about Canada-U.S. relations today with the Prime Minister saying, who cares? Who cares? Who cares? It doesn't matter that I haven't spoken with Donald Trump recently. We have no burning issues to talk about. In the meantime, you have the U.S. Vice President, J.D. Vance, causing quite a stir on social media, saying to Canadians, stop blaming all of your problems on Trump and start pointing fingers at the leaders you elect in Canada. Talk about that with your help on Talkback today, coming up right after the latest breaking news here on News Radio. Welcome to Talkback. 2 hours of debate and discussion on the big issues of the day. Today's topic, Canada-U.S. relations. Canada-U.S. relations, it's kind of a two-parter today. Here's one issue we want your take on. Prime Minister Carney is saying he's in no rush to speak with Donald Trump. He says there's no burning issue for the two to speak about, and he'll speak with Donald Trump at an appropriate time. What do you think about those comments from the Prime Minister? Do you agree with Prime Minister Carney? Trump can wait. There are other things to do, other deals to sign. Or do you disagree with those remarks from Prime Minister Carney? You think the Prime Minister should be trying to get Donald Trump on the phone and trying to restart trade negotiations with the United States, get past the impasse? What do you think? Should Mark Carney make speaking with Donald Trump more of a priority? Yes or no? Why or why not? 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. And here's another issue that we want your take on. How much of the problems that are happening in Canada can be blamed on Donald Trump versus how much of the problems that are happening in Canada are made in Canada problems? Made in Canada problems. And the reason why we want to get your take on that today is because of a tweet, a post on social media on X from the U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. On social media, the U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance said, and I'm quoting here, with all due respect to my Canadian friends, whose politics focuses obsessively on the United States, your stagnating living standards have nothing to do with Donald Trump or whatever boogeyman the CBC tells you to blame. The fault lies with your leadership elected by you. With all due respect to my Canadian friends whose politics focus obsessively on the United States, your stagnating living standards have nothing to do with Donald Trump and whatever boogeyman the CBC tells you to blame. The fault lies with your leadership elected by you. And a lot of Canadians, a lot of Americans too, had a lot to say about that online. Some Canadians have taken to social media and agree with that view from J.D. Vance that whatever problems we have in this country are mostly made in Canada problems and don't have much of anything to do with Donald Trump. Other Canadians also took to social media to, quite frankly, tell the U.S. president to take a long walk off a shore pier, and they have their elbows way up. And even some Americans weighed in. Some of them agree with Vance. Some of them do not. Some really, really, really don't like J.D. Vance, and make no secret of that fact, because it's social media. But since it's out there, and since a lot of people are commenting on social media about it, I thought, I'm going to ask you about that here today on Talkback today. J.D. Vance, whatever you think of that guy, I don't think about him very much, to be quite honest, but he is saying our problems are our own. Our problems are because of the leaders we elect. Accurate or inaccurate? What would you say? Fair statement? Accurate? Inaccurate? Off base? Out of line? Just what would you say? That's the second issue we want to get your take on today. 1-833-668-2577. I mean, think about it. These were really the big issues in the election campaign this year, back in late April. These were really the dividing lines, as a matter of fact. Trump, tariffs, 51st state, elbows up became a dominant issue in the election campaign, but so too did cost of living, housing affordability, prices at the grocery store, rents $2,000 a month, heating and eating, and making a choice between the two, and a Canada that has not really delivered much for Canadians for the last 10 years, and change was needed. Leadership, a leadership change. I mean, those were the two big fault lines in the election campaign. Canadians put their trust in Mark Carney in enough numbers. Decided Mr. Carney was the right person for the job. Take care of the economy, deal with Donald Trump. And yet now Mr. Carney won't even say when he last spoke with Donald Trump and gets annoyed when reporters ask him about it. And he doesn't sound like he's in any big hurry to speak with Donald Trump. He'll get around to it when the time is right. Who cares? Who cares? He said. Who cares? Should he care? Should we care? What do you say? And what about these remarks from U.S. President J.D. Vance? He's basically saying, stop blaming all of Canada's problems on Donald Trump. Your problems are your own problems. Clean up your own mess. They're made in Canada problems because of the leaders you elect. What do you think of that? From J.D. Vance, the U.S. Vice President. Accurate or inaccurate? Should he just stick a sock in it? 1-833-668-2577 is our call-in line. If you've never called before, just mention that. We'll make your call a priority. And we'll talk about the Canada-U.S. relationship today on Talkback. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know, and this is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Our topic today, Canada-U.S. relations. Mr. Carney won't say when the last time was that he spoke with Donald Trump. He said, who cares? There are no burning issues to discuss, he said. What's your reaction to that? Do you agree with Mr. Carney? Should the Prime Minister do more to try and speak with Donald Trump, get those trade talks started again? And U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, in a post on social media, said Canadians need to stop blaming Canada's problems on Donald Trump. He said Canada's problems are because of Canada's leaders, elected by Canadians. What do you think about those comments? Accurate? Inaccurate? The truth or not? 1-833-668-2577. 3 lines available. This is Talkback. A brand new week. Let's get it underway. Ken is in Nova Scotia. Hi, Ken. Thanks for calling.
Yes, hello. No problem.
Hi, Ken. Yeah.
Yes.
What's your opinion?
I think Carney should probably stand up to Trump. Calling him is not going to do any good. The guy is irrational completely. One thing that Carney hasn't mentioned is that stuff that's exported to the States, they could put an export tax on those items, and it would cost the Americans even more than they're paying now.
Mm-hmm.
And you consider, there's a new potash plant going up out west. I think it's in Saskatchewan. They're building an export port in Washington.
Yes.
That's ridiculous. All they have to do is tell them, if you want to mine potash in Canada, you put an export terminal in Canada. Don't send it to the States first. Canada.
Okay, that was a decision made by a private company. You're talking about the Nutrien decision, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
No, but
okay.
I mean, all investment in Canadian companies, you see it on TV all the time. All the markets they look for are in the U.S. They sell cheaper to the U.S. than they sell to Canada itself. That doesn't make sense. At least it doesn't to me.
Right. Well, I suppose you would have to ask the question, why did that company find Longview, Washington to be a better destination for $1 billion worth of investment instead of, say, of a place like Prince Rupert, British Columbia?
I agree,
Isn't that
but I presume
worthwhile
what happens
question to explore?
The product gets from Canada to the U.S. Once it gets in the U.S., Canada has no control over it whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Canadian wheat farmers sell wheat, out of the grain board, other than that, to companies in the States that turn around and sell it to China. The Canadian government just doesn't stand up for Canadians. So I can't blame Canadians.
You started by saying, if I could, you started by saying you think Mark Carney should stand up to Donald Trump more. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
This just talking about product, the tariffs that have been put on product going to the States. If Mark Carney just said, okay, we'll just stop exporting to you then. If you don't want our product, we'll sell it elsewhere, which he is doing it in the long run, but you're talking maybe 5-10 years down the road. If any country that normally buys product, all of a sudden they can't acquire it, period. I mean, it puts them in a bad position. So now they have to negotiate with who's producing the product.
Right. Okay. So you want him to get tougher on Trump. What about these comments from the U.S. vice president that Canadians should stop blaming Canada's problems on Trump and start blaming your own leaders for some of the decisions our leaders have made? What do you think about that?
Okay. Well, some of the problems in Canada is, in my opinion, the Canadian government's been run by Quebec rather than Canada, and for so long. That Quebec can do no wrong, and the rest of Canada can basically go down below where they can burn in where. Well, Carney, he's a financier. He really, that's his job. It always has been. The Bank of Canada, then the Bank of England. Now he's back here, in politics, which really is not his forte. But, I mean, like I said before, you see programs on TV like Dragon's Den, where Canadians are looking for investment in new companies. And all the dragons say, well, do you access the U.S. market, yes or no? And so the push is all south from Canada. And, Canada has put itself in a hell of a mess because of it.
Okay. All right. You think we're too reliant on the United States, and maybe that's some of our problems. Okay. Fair enough. Thank you. You've got us off to a good start today. We will stop here because we want to keep people up on traffic and weather today, particularly in Calgary. They've had quite a bit of snow there today, and it's causing all kinds of weather traffic chaos today in that city. First big snowfall of the year for our friends there. So let's get them right up to date, and then we'll be back with more of your calls. You're on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
So when Mark Carney was asked, when was the last time you spoke with Donald Trump? He said, who cares? There are no burning issues to discuss. We'll get around to it when the time is appropriate. What do you think about that? U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, meanwhile, on social media said Canadians need to stop blaming Canada's problems on Trump, that Canada's problems are Canada's problems, made in Canada problems, made by Canada's poor choice for leaders. What do you think about those comments? 1-833-668-2577. Let's go to Tim, is in Halifax today. Hi, Tim.
Hi, how are you?
Very good, Tim. What do you think?
As per your last caller, he's calling Donald Trump irrational, and the guy we got leading the country can't even make up his mind if he's going to elbows up or back China. I don't think he was interested in the States to begin with. I think he had an agenda with China. That's why he didn't speak out about that MP that supposedly joked about turning his political opponent over to the Chinese foreign government. I think he's very self-serving, and he's a self-proclaimed European, and I think anybody that continues to support the Liberals in their current capacity are pretty much traitors to the country.
Okay, well, I wouldn't go that far. I don't think it's treasonous to support one party or the other. But let me ask you this. Okay, so then let's move along, because it is kind of a two-parter today. Yep. J.D. Vance, Canada's problems are Canada's problems. That you need to stop blaming them on. You think he's right? Why do you say that?
What Trump came in power in January was it?
Yeah,
did we not have all these
time,
problems existing? Yeah. Did we not have all these problems existing prior to him? We had
Depends
housing
what problems
crisis,
you're talking about, I guess, right?
Yeah, other than the tariffs, housing crisis, food crisis, people going to food banks, all these other things were pre-existing to Trump. And to further that point, weren't the Liberals the ones that were using Donald Trump as a slur, basically, in the House towards Poilievre, and then pro-Parliament, held the leadership race and then forced an election while this was all going on. And another good quote from Mark Carney is, pipelines are boring. He has no interest in anything to do to actually help the country, as far as I'm concerned. He's trying to make his buddies overseas rich. That's why he's avoiding, in my opinion.
Yeah, in your opinion. Yeah, fair enough. That's out there for public consumption now, I guess. I don't know if that's true or not. And, just on the situation with China, I mean, there's been no breakthrough on anything to do with China. He's been invited to go to China. There's no word whether he's accepted the invitation to go to China. China still has tariffs on our agricultural products and our seafood products, and we still have tariffs on Chinese-made EVs. It's not like there's been any big breakthrough there. But thank you for your call, Tim. Thank you. She's a totally different than Ken, who's also in Nova Scotia. Let's get the view from Calgary so far today. Hi, Rick in Calgary.
Hi, how are you?
Very good, Rick. What would you say today?
I absolutely 110% agree with this gentleman from Halifax. And it's not often Easterners and Westerners agree on things, but I 100% behind him. Carney is an elitist. Look at all the traveling that he's been doing, and he's gotten absolutely nothing done. Saudi Arabia, he says he's got maybe a little bit of a deal of $1 billion. He's doing so much. He's making Trudeau look like he stayed home, but he's doing so much traveling now and getting nothing done. Trump wanted him in. There's no doubt in my mind he did not want to deal with Poilievre. But the other point, there's a couple points I'd like to make, though, is that Doug Ford. I mean, what kind of a dingling will put out a commercial like that, knowing full well he's going to poke the bear? And congratulations, Doug, you did it. You knew you were going to have to take those ads down after Trump got mad, and then Carney had to apologize. That really didn't do anything to help us. And J.D. Vance is 110% right, also because the Halifax gentleman said it himself. All these problems were here before Carney got in. And so everybody's got to just remember, the Liberals created this. Eastern Canada likes them, so they keep voting them in. But I want to remind people just one thing. Just to tick Trump off even more, now he's got us, instead of looking at the F-35s, which are the world-renowned best jets out there, the stealth jets, he's looking to Sweden at their jets. Well, I did some homework and research into it.
Okay, well, we don't have time to get into that angle right now because we've got to bring the news on. But I thank you for your call today. You agree with Tim in Halifax. Be right back with more Talkback on News Radio. We're talking about Canada-U.S. relations today. Mr. Carney, Prime Minister Carney, isn't saying when the last time was that he spoke with Donald Trump, and he said, who cares? There are no burning issues to discuss. Anyway, we're getting your reaction to that, to those comments made in South Africa about 24 hours ago. Meantime, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance put a posting on social media and said Canadians need to stop blaming Canada's problems on Donald Trump. He said Canada's problems are because of Canada's leaders elected by Canadians. What do you think about those comments? Accurate, inaccurate? 1-833-668-2577. Charles in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Hello, Charles.
Hi, Rob. How you doing?
Very good, Charles. Good to hear from you today. What's your opinion? First of all, on Prime Minister Carney. He's not sitting by the phone waiting for Donald Trump to call. What do you think of that?
I think it's appropriate. It's classic. If someone doesn't want to be in contact with you, doesn't want to engage, and when they are, they're not favorable, you look for greener pastures. I know U.S. is the market, but to me, it moves Canadian products off a truck and off a train and onto a boat and onto a plane. As simple as that. I mean, the U.S. will always be there, but I think the pandering or potential perception of pandering to the U.S., we did see it with the Liberals previous with Trudeau and company, and it failed miserably. You know, I mean, they were going down basically hat in hand, not wanting to be referenced as the 51st state and wanting favorable this, favorable that. And to me, I support Carney. I'm not a card-carrying person. I've supported all parties, and I certainly don't always get it right. The only other time I called in your show was when I thought the election between Harris and Trump was too close to call. So I'm wrong often and regularly. So
okay.
But on this particular one, I guess I would just say that I think he's doing exactly the strategy. There's nothing better than if, in my own opinion, in business or in personal situations, if someone believes they don't need you and they're not looking to engage, you simply cannot put yourself over. I mean, it's analogous to the high school dance. How many times do you ask someone to dance before you move to another partner? And I'm not saying we abandon the U.S. by any stretch, but clearly, if there's an unwillingness on the U.S. to engage, Canada has goods that the world needs: wood, lumber, aluminum, etc., oil, natural gas, that other markets will be open to us. And I think it's completely the right approach. That's my take on it.
What do you think about what J.D. Vance said? Stop blaming Trump for your problems. Your problems are your own problems.
To me, it's the classic approach of the United States these days. And instead of really being statesmanlike or being sort of having a higher order, they seem to enjoy gutter talk, and they seem to revel in personal attacks, which is effectively to get people's eyes off the target and the real issue. And Vance is cut from that cloth. And if you remember about Vance, this is worthwhile saying, when Mr. Trump was first elected in 2016, this is well known, he'd put together an essay or an article of significance to say Trump was completely unworthy, completely on.
Oh yeah, he was a big never Trumper. He was a big never Trumper.
So now the flavor of the day, Trump's a hero and Canada's got problems. So I think anything Mr. Vance says, he's an educated person and he's brought himself up from poverty and so forth. I think it's to be taken with a grain of salt, given he's there by virtue of the president. So he'll be effectively a puppet, a talking point, whatever, and whatever Mr. Trump says.
Yeah. Like a mouthpiece. He's a mouthpiece.
Yeah, I don't put anything into it. And I just look at what he's done. And what else is he going to say? Yes, we're trying to fracture the best historic relationship of trading and military and cultural that we've ever had in our history. Yeah, we want to fracture that. No, he's going to somehow spin it that we're making our own trouble. And for other callers, I'll just suggest that worldwide, it's not unique to Canada. Worldwide, issues of access to medicine, food, housing, and jobs, it's become a global phenomenon. We don't stand alone in that regard. So to put it all on the former Liberal government, it's convenient if you don't support the party, I hardly think it's accurate, and I see it as a worldwide phenomenon. And I want to emphasize.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I would totally buy into that line of thinking. But Charles, I do thank you for your call. 1-833-668-2577. Jim is up next in Calgary today. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Rob. First-time caller, long-time listener lately. I love your show.
Well, thank you so much.
I completely disagree with your last caller, Charles, regarding J.D. Vance's comments. I can give you a couple examples, just my opinion, of course. So
sure.
When Trump started all these tariffs, if you recall, all the premiers got together, let's band together. Let's open up our borders, trade alcohol, trade this, no more fooling around within our country, which is a great idea. But as soon as our premier in Alberta and maybe Saskatchewan, a couple other ones say, let's get the oil going. What does the BC guy do? Oh, I have never heard about that. No one talked to me about this. Well, we don't want the oil in Alberta in BC because we're all environmentalists. So, I mean, did he really want to band together or not? And one more example about how Vance says we, the people of Canada, elected our leaders. So this is the people of Canada we're dealing with. A lot of them voted Liberal. Obviously, that's why Liberal's in. We had recently here had a teacher strike, and I personally know a lot of teachers, including my family members, and not them specifically, but I know a lot of teachers voted Liberal, and Liberal, but then they complain when there's too many people in their class sizes. Who do you think let all the people into Canada? Why the class sizes are so huge now? Liberals, of course. So I completely 100% agree with Vance. Your last caller, Charles, saying, it's a global thing. No, our leaders lead our country. Don't worry about China. Don't worry about, I don't care, Russia, Ukraine, U.S.
Right.
Our leaders.
What about Mr. Carney saying he's not, he was asked, when was the last time you spoke with Trump? And he said, who cares? We have no burning issues to discuss.
Well, exactly.
What about that? Very quickly.
I agree. This is the same thing, same as Trudeau. That's our leader. Oh, who cares? This is the guy we elected. We know what Trump's like. Agree with him or not, he's, kind of wacky. So, I mean, whatever. I'm not questioning him. I'm questioning our leaders because I don't live in the U.S. For him to go publicly and say, I'm not, who cares? I'm not dealing with them anymore. So what, you're just going to give up as a leader? Well, that's the guy we elected.
Okay. All right. Thank you. More of your calls just ahead on Talkback. Talking about the Canada-U.S. relationship today. 1-833-668-2577. Love to hear from you. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Canada-U.S. relations, a two-parter today with Mr. Carney saying, who cares? When asked, when was the last time you spoke to Donald Trump? Who cares? We have no burning issues to discuss. That's what he said. And J.D. Vance posted on social media, Canadians need to stop blaming Canada's problems on Trump. He said Canada's problems are made in Canada because of Canada's leaders. We're getting your reaction to these comments. Ray is in Halifax. Hi, Ray.
How are you?
Very good, Ray. Thanks for calling. What's your opinion?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that when you negotiate with Trump, for Carney saying, who cares? I mean, it might be a bit harsh, but I applaud him. I think it's about time that people just stand up and say, you know what, because you can't negotiate with him anyway. You can try appease him. You can try and be aggressive with him. We dropped that media tax there a few months ago to try and say, we're doing our best, and nothing. He just
digital services tax.
That's right. So at a certain point, you can't negotiate anyway. So I applaud him. I think good for you for somebody finally, this whole elbows up, elbows down thing. I don't know if that's elbows up, but someone standing up saying, look, if you don't want to negotiate in good faith, then we're just not going to talk to you. And if this continues, other countries might start doing that, and he's just going to start Americans might just get shut out of international trade. And if they want to trade have their own little clique, their own little Buy America only, good for them. Yeah. And as for J.D. Vance, I I mean, where does he get his information that we're blaming everything on Trump? Did he just come out and say that, or did he say that he's seen articles?
He made a post on social media. He made a post on social media.
Yeah, exactly. So he's just trying to poke Canada again. It's the same with that American ambassador.
Okay.
I don't understand how
he said, if I could, just because it's been a while since I've read the quote again. With all due respect to my Canadian friends whose politics focus obsessively on the United States, your stagnating living standards have nothing to do with Donald Trump or whatever boogeyman the CBC tells you to blame. The fault lies with your leadership elected by you. Some people think he has a point, and he's not wrong.
No,
what do you think?
I certainly don't. I don't see.
You don't?
Our stagnate. No, I don't. Of course not. We don't blame. We're not blaming everything on Trump. I mean, we have our problems in our country, and we have things to work through, and we have to get our economy going. And I think, as for Carney traveling the world, he's trying to negotiate new trade deals with people, with other countries, with other Asia Pacific. He's trying to expand where we're going to trade, where we're going to trade our goods and services, because we have to get away from the States. I don't think we have a choice. America's just basically shutting us out. And good for him to be traveling the world and trying to get different trading partners. And that's my.
All right,
that's
Ray.
my point.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing it today. Back out to Calgary, and let's hear from Chris in Calgary. Hi, Chris.
Hey, good morning. How are you today?
Yeah, very good, Chris. Yep, good to hear from you. What's your opinion?
Well, first of all, let's talk about Carney, okay? This sure is a big change from before the election when it was all elbows up. We're going to show those Americans, boy, we're going to, this and that and the other thing. And now it's elbows down and, well, we don't really care. To heck with them and whatnot. As far as, traveling and to get trade deals, I'm all for more trade deals with other countries and, expanding our trade relations. But I think people should know and should remember that trade deals aren't made by leaders meeting at a summit somewhere. Trade deals are made in the back rooms, and then all the thing is with the leaders is a big photo op. And quite frankly, I think we could do with a far less photo ops from Carney and a little bit more action. As far as J.D. Vance, listen, he's absolutely right. And the caller before me was saying he doesn't see people knocking, saying it's all the United States' fault. Well, Vance wasn't talking about every single Canadian. He was talking about the CBC. And anybody who listens to the CBC or any other legacy media, that's all you hear. Trump this, Trump that, evil Trump, Nazi Trump. Trump is the world's whipping boy. But our problems are our problems. They predate Trump. They predate Carney. They go back years. And by the way, the caller that said, well, the whole world is like this, I don't give a hoot about the whole world. If other leaders in other countries created the same problems for their country, their citizens can deal with them. Our leader is Carney, and it's been the Liberals for the last decade or more, and it's their fault, period.
All right, sir. Thank you. Well, two very opposing views there from Ray in Halifax and Chris in Calgary, and we'd love to hear yours today. 1-833-668-2577. Join the discussion on Talkback today.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Canada-U.S. relations is our topic today, talking about Mark Carney saying, who cares, when asked, when was the last time you spoke with Donald Trump? Who cares? We have no burning issues to discuss. And J.D. Vance on social media saying Canadians need to stop blaming Canada's problems on Trump. Canada's problems are Canada's problems made by Canada's leaders. Glenn in Halifax is up next. Hi, Glenn.
Yes, Rob, I think I agree with 100% with a lot of the people that are saying that it's not Trump's fault that we have our problems in Canada. It's our own fault by not keeping up to date with everything that has been taking place especially since COVID. I think it's good that we're looking for new resources in the world that for people, other countries will start buying some. But I think the way to do it is not Carney's way. Carney's weak. He's not really a good, strong leader. I hate to say that about him because I liked him when he was governor of the bank in Canada. But as a leader, no. And that's why Trump loved him to be the leader of the Liberals and to be elected. He knew that Poilievre was a lot stronger and that would stand up to him a lot more. Now, I think the thing about as far as looking for new people in the world to be buying our products from us, is not through Carney going in all these places. That absolutely does not very much. I think the people that we should be sending to the other countries to buy our products are the people in that industry. That would be the best way to do it. Pay their way of their leaders of every industry that's been dealing with the United States that would like to have new countries buying our products. Those are the people to send to talk to these people, not Carney. Carney is just a puppet. And as far as I'm concerned, I think in our country, after having the Liberals in power for 10 years, we should have not put them back in again for another term. They had their chance, and they failed. And they're failing even more
You'll get another chance to have your say on that in another election. But he was asked, when was the last time you spoke with Trump? And he said, who cares? There are no burning issues to discuss. What?
That's not good. Rob, that's not a very good thing to say, who cares? Why irritate this man any more than he has to be? I mean, hasn't he made us suffer enough now? So let's be nice to him. Why don't we change the tone and tell Trump how nice we'd like to be with him, and not the other way.
All right. Thank you, Glenn. All right. Not impressed with Mr. Carney. Wayne or the Liberals. Wayne in Foothills. Hello, Wayne.
Hey, how are you doing?
Very good, Wayne. What's your opinion here, Wayne?
Well, I think with respect to Carney, one of the things that he said that we have to do because of the impact that the U.S. does have on our economy is to diversify. Now, what do you have to do that? You have to go around the world and you have to do the photo ops, because the photo ops are what create action behind that. So if there are no photo ops and we're just waiting for the people behind the scenes to try and negotiate something, everyone would be saying, well, why aren't you doing something? Because those things take a while to happen, as we know. So I think he's doing the right thing there. He's trying to say that we need to get off our reliance, which we have had an interconnected economy for many decades. Regarding J.D. Vance, I disagree with him. I mean, he doesn't. I mean, what he's saying is that those tariffs have no impact on our standard of living. Well, of course they do. If you put a tariff on something and a shift is shut down in Ontario because
Right. What if a plant like a Stellantis plant decides to leave southern Ontario and go to the United States? We've been talking about Canada-U.S. relations today with Mr. Carney saying, who cares? When asked, well, when was the last time you spoke with Donald Trump? Who cares? In fact, we have the clip from his news conference in South Africa. Clip 1, please, Curtis.
Next question.
Who cares? I mean, it's a detail. It's a detail. I spoke to him. I'll speak to him again when it matters.
Just play that one more time.
Next question.
Who cares? I mean, it's a detail. It's a detail. I spoke to him. I'll speak to him again when it matters.
Okay, and let's play clip number 2 where he says there's no big reason to speak with him right now.
I look forward to speaking to the president soon, but I don't have a burning issue to speak with the president about right now.
I don't have a burning issue to speak with the president right now. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? Right approach? A lot of people think it's the right approach. Others seem to think, well, maybe you should speak with him and try to get the trade talks back on track. Then you have posting on social media from the U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, where he said Canadians need to stop blaming Canada's problems on Donald Trump Canada's problems are because of Canada's leaders. What do you think about those comments? Accurate, inaccurate? 1-833-668-2577. Let's go to Calgary today. John is in Calgary. First-time caller there. Hi, John.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hi, John. Yeah, I hear you just fine, John. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing today?
Very good, John. Thank you.
Yeah, so
hope you're well too.
I am. Thank you. Ultimately, I think this PM is just a joke with no leverage. If I'm being honest, same as the last one, really. I mean, they do need to stop. With the blaming the U.S. for Canada's problems. To be honest, I'd like to see a 51st state, especially if we keep voting in the Liberals. Like if you see how much Trump has done since being voted in comparison to any other leader of this new age. And, I think a lot of people don't see that the bigger picture, that sometimes things just need to get done. I can't figure out for the life of me. I think it's been far too long that Liberals have been in power. And I think it's, that time for a change, especially when, they're the ones who flooded the country with immigration, when not supporting their own people first, and the cause of the inflation in the housing market.
So you would agree with J.D. Vance that a lot of the problems are made in Canada problems and don't have anything to do with Donald Trump?
Absolutely, and we all have our own quirks and stuff like that. But absolutely, the second last caller, I believe, I agree with what that guy was saying. Like, we need someone out here, like Harper out in the West, someone who's from the West, knows the West, supports the West, but also supports the rest of the country and the economy.
Well, Mr. Carney would be fast to remind you, sir, that he spent a lot of time in Edmonton as a younger man.
I don't know. He's got to.
He pulls that out from time to time. Right. Okay. But you really would rather be part of the United States right now?
I think a lot of people feel that way. I think a lot of people feel that way.
I don't know if it's a lot of people. Some people, I guess, feel that way. I'm not one of them. I don't want to be part of the United States, despite the country, the problems in this country. The U.S. has its own problems.
Sure.
John, I'm sure you would agree, right?
Oh, of course, everywhere you go.
Yeah. Okay. All right, John. Thank you. Let's go to Kincardine. Mike is in Kincardine. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Rob. Let me ask you a question. Would you run a business where 70% of your goods and services go to one customer? Probably not. Would you negotiate with someone who gets off the crapper the next morning and changes his mind and throws stuff and adjusts your price and cost every day? The answer is no.
Right.
Would you be looking for other? Would you be looking for other customers right now, and to diversify your relationship? Yes, you would.
Sure. Yeah, but if you were in business, wouldn't you be doing that all the time?
Yeah. And I remember going back to Jean Chrétien. He had his Team Canada, where he'd get a whole bunch of business leaders, and they go to countries. And at that time, Canada was 90%, and through him, it went down to 70% relationship. We need to diversify our trade, and it's not going to happen overnight. And the people who think they can adjust the supply chain magically, I'd ask, why are we selling our oil at below market prices to the United States? Why are we selling a lot of our stuff at below market prices to the United States? Now, people who think that it's going to get better overnight, it's not. And the other reason is, like, J.D. Vance is right. We created this problem. And you know when we created this problem? When Brian Mulroney negotiated this free trade deal for NAFTA years ago. And we've been dependent on the United States for years. And J.D. Vance is right, because we did not diversify our trade. Now we're vulnerable to any little trade shock from the United States. And that's my thoughts, Rob.
Really? You're giving an awful free ride to the Liberals there. You're giving an awful free
agree
ride.
with
More
I
than
agree
a decade of Chrétien Martin, a decade of Mr. Trudeau. They bear no responsibility for any of the problems in the country right now.
Well, I say all of them do, because basically it started back with Mulroney. And we just kept being more and more dependent on it, and the Liberals didn't help matters because they had a chance. Trudeau had a chance with dealing with Trump in the first place, right? He should have taken some more defensive measures back then, and also diversified our trade. And I'm not letting any government off, but what I really hate, Rob, is it's the Liberals for the past 10 years. Really? We've been dependent on the United States for so many years, and we need to break that.
All right. Thank you, John and Mike, for having your say and getting us off and running here for hour number 2 of Talkback. More of your calls just ahead on Canada-U.S. relations. This is hour number 2. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
When Mark Carney was asked, when was the last time he spoke with Donald Trump? He said, who cares? Who cares? There are no burning issues to discuss. Meantime, J.D. Vance says, stop blaming Canada's problems on Trump. Canada's problems are because of Canada's leaders elected by you. What do you think about what's going on in the Canada-U.S. relationship right now? 1-833-668-2577. Brett is in Listowel, Ontario. Hello, Brett.
Hey, Rob. How you doing?
Very good. Thank you.
First time, long time. Glad. Very good. Thank you. Very, very happy to be on the show today. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I'll get right to the point. I think we all should care. We live next to the global hegemon that the world's never seen. We live under a Pax Americana, and whether we like President Trump or President Biden or President Obama or President Bush, we should all have a central focus in having a good relationship with the executive branch of the world's largest superpower. Many callers say we'll diversify to other markets, and while that's a nice idea, I question the logistics of getting our products to those markets. Number one, we're separated by oceans in every direction. And number two, we seem to be kind of lull ourselves into the sense of security in Canada as though, we can ship our goods with no issues. Well, it's the United States Navy that protects global trade more than anything. And every other country that we seek a trade deal with also realizes that and doesn't want to upset the proverbial apple cart because they know who butters their bread. So it's quite naive to just say, well, we'll diversify to other markets without realizing that we depend on the United States Blue Water Navy to allow for safe and secure shipping routes, which is a relatively modern phenomenon. Before it was the Pax Americana, of course, it was the Pax Britannia. And I think a lot of Canadians don't quite understand our role in the world.
Okay, that's very interesting. So when Mr. Carney says, who cares? There are no burning issues to discuss. We'll speak to him when we speak to him. What do you think about that?
I think if it's under the context of being dismissive to the United States, it's a poor move. We should understand our role as a second power. And it's not about bootlicking or butt kissing. It's a matter of respecting and knowing our place in the world, if that makes sense.
Okay. What about the comments from Vance, J.D. Vance? What do you think about those?
I do happen to agree with Vice President Vance in this circumstance that we can blame a lot of our own problems on the policies that we've pursued as a nation. At the end of the Second World War, we had the second highest number of total ships, in the world in terms of naval ships. They weren't all destroyers or whatnot. A lot of them were cargo vessels. But Canada could be a great power if we realized our potential and opened up our energy development, do more processing and refining here, and actually deepen our ties strategically to the United States as opposed to, kowtowing to the bleeding heart liberals out there, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. Very interesting. Thank you very much for your call today. Cherry up next in Lake Cowichan. Let's go there. Yeah. Okay. British Columbia. Hi there.
Hi. How are you, Rob?
Hi. Good to hear from you. Very good, Jerry. Yeah. Good to hear from you.
Terry.
Terry?
Yes. Sorry, Rob.
Terry. Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's my fault. Yep. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. I'm just calling about the comments made by Mark Carney about he doesn't find it necessary to talk to the Americans and he's kind of busy. I've been a Liberal for 3 generations of my family, and I'll never vote Liberal again. It was I mistakenly voted for the Liberals this time, thinking that maybe he would be somewhat different than Prime Minister Trudeau, who is shall we say, a has-been. And he destroyed the country pretty much entirely single-handedly by bringing in all these people and his money spending ways and the Aga Khan's money he sends to him for charity for a rich guy who owns a private island in the Bahamas or wherever, the Caribbean. And all I can say is that Mark Carney is an embarrassment to Canada. I don't consider him smart at all. I'm an accountant.
Oh, really?
And a tax lawyer. And I could outwit him any day. I've been at it. Well, I'm basically retired now. And it's a J.D. Vance, Vice President Vance is absolutely right. Here we are running around blaming other people for our problems when really our problem has been over 10 years of Liberal foolishness. I thought they were going to smarten up on this when I was ready to quit. Now I am quitting. So say hi to Mr. Carney for me and tell him when he needs a handout, when Brookfield is busy shoveling money on him.
All right. Yeah, I don't move. I don't really move in those circles, sir. But if I do bump into him someday, I'll say hi on your behalf, Terry. Thank you. 1-833-668-2577. We'll stop here and we'll take some more of your calls as we make our way through hour number 2 of Talkback today on the Canada-U.S. situation. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Talking about the Canada-U.S. relationship today, recent comments by Prime Minister Carney and U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. Let's go to Rob, is in Cambridge, Ontario. Hello, Rob.
Hello, my brother from another mother.
Yeah, hello there. Good to hear from you.
The victim,
What do you think?
victim mentality is going strong in Canada. Isn't it nice?
Okay.
We get to blame everybody else for our own problems. So you just have to analyze this, Rob, and ask yourself, 10, 11 years ago, what's changed? Okay, so housing's doubled. That must be Trump's fault because he wasn't even around. Food, 45% up in 10 years. GDP, negligible growth in 11 or 12 years. Mass migration, another fault by Trump for sure. Guaranteed he must have done that to us. I would have to say that J.D. Vance nailed it.
Okay, J.D. Vance nailed it. Just stop blaming Canada's problems on Trump is what he said. The fault of your own leaders in your own country. That's what he said. You would agree with him. I'm not surprised to hear that. What about Mr. Carney saying, who cares?
The funny part. Well, that's the part that scares me. And I don't know if you had the chance. Everybody in Canada should watch. Elon Musk was nice enough to make us a video. It's about 9 minutes long and explains exactly about bitumen, the oil that we have, and why we can't process it. And it'll give you a little bit of insight. Yeah, it'll give you a little bit of insight when you actually have an IQ and you actually go through all the factors from geographical to temperatures to the building costs. The long story short is we've got a whole whack of oil, and it's a really disgusting black heavy oil it's not like that gorgeous crude that we think, automatically in our heads. It takes a lot. So cokers and all the refineries, to move them up into cold areas almost doubles the building costs, doubles the maintenance costs, you name it. So how do you compete? You can't, because you've got all these places like Florida and California that can run offshore refineries in the absolute optimum areas. So it's because of geography, we are in bed with our brother, the U.S. And the reason that we've had a brother-like relationship over the last forever is because smarter people years ago realized that, there's a reason that we trade 85% with them. We have a border that touches, and all goods can free go back and forth. Now, ask yourself this question. I'm old enough to remember when Ontario had a manufacturing center. Do you know what? Do you know what they told us? You want $5 cheaper jeans? You want cheaper cars? Put them overseas. That's how we're going to get it. And then now they turn around and go, oh, wow, we have no manufacturing here. We have no work. We have no middle class, white picket fence, guy retires with a pension at the end. All those jobs are gone.
Okay.
Well, you can blame the government.
Okay.
Not
Okay.
Trump.
Again, what I'm trying to get at is Mr. Carney said there are no burning issues to discuss. I'll call him when he's ready to talk.
Largest trade partner. Right.
Okay.
And if that doesn't shock you, listen, I'm here, Rob. I'm just not out to interject or cut you off. You really owe it to yourself because I know you like being a learned guy. Go to moosechart.com. Moosechart.com. I'll tell you why. Somebody spent a hell of a lot of time, and they spent an unbelievable amount of resources to figure out exactly all the holdings from Brookfield to everything worldwide that we're dealing with. And I got news for you. The mass psychosis that's being done to us, where Orange Man bad, he's the fault, he's all the problems, look over here, is exactly what magicians do to you when they're doing a trick. They tell you the elephant's out of the room, but it's not. It's really there. It's just your eyes. So the long story short is...
All right. I'll look at moosechart.com, and I will look at... you say Elon Musk made a video about Alberta oil. I'm interested in seeing that. I've never seen that. Thank you. Most of our problems are self-inflicted, according to Rob in Cambridge. What do you say? 1-833-668-2577. This is News Radio. Lots of opinions on the Canada-U.S. relationship, such as it is with Mr. Carney asked when was the last time you spoke with Donald Trump? He said, who cares? There are no burning issues to discuss. We'll talk when we talk, was the impression you were left with. Meantime, you have U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance weighing in on the state of affairs in Canada, saying, stop blaming Canada's problems on Donald Trump. Canada's problems are all of your own making. What do you think about that? 1-833-668-2577. Up next, Bob is in Calgary. Hello, Bob.
Hey, Rob.
Hi, Bob. Very good, Bob. Thanks for calling.
So if you look at Carney, his first trip when he got elected was to France. His second one was to France and then to England. He showed Trump no respect from day one. That's why we're in the shape that we're in. I mean, Carney's a banker, and he's used to people coming to him that need something. And Trump, being a businessman, probably has a distrust for bankers. So their relationship started off bad, and he's just making it worse.
Okay. They seem to get along pretty well in the two meetings that they had in the Oval Office. I mean, it seemed like a bromance. The two were getting along, swimmingly, and
acting. Trump is very cordial to everybody, but if you don't show him respect, you go to the back of the line, and that's where we've been since the start. And as an Albertan, we're used to being abused because we can't get our oil to the east, we can't get it to the west, but they sure want our money. They sure want those transfer payments. And the one thing Daniel Smith said years ago is we should send our transfer payments in bitumen and let you guys figure it out. I mean, the frustration as a Westerner is getting bigger. Go ahead, Sylvain.
Well, again, and hopefully maybe there'll be some news on Thursday about a potential deal with Ottawa between the Smith government and the Carney government. We'll just have to wait and see. Your premier sounds optimistic. She says on a pipeline, Mr. Carney's been very receptive to that.
BC's going to block it. Quebec is going to block it, no matter what Carney says. Our best bet is to go reopen the Keystone Pipeline, deal directly with the U.S., cut Ottawa out of our business, and then just take steps towards becoming a sovereign nation ourselves. We've had it in the West with the rhetoric from the East, and look at the way Quebec talks about us. Look at the way EB talks about us. I mean, why would we support that? We've been doing it for 50 years. Why would we do it any longer?
Okay, well, again, I'll get Curtis to call up the clip that we played earlier of David Eby I think in recent days, I think, David, this is just my own suspicion, just based on how he used to speak about the idea of a pipeline. He seemed to be speaking like it was a sure thing. It was never going to happen. It was just a figment of their imagination. There's no proponent, all of this stuff that you hear from him. And now he sounds like someone who has been told you're going to get a pipeline. Could we play that again, please? The David Eby tape.
We have been quite frank with Alberta and with the federal government that although we never supported the pipeline and we're not enthusiastic about it, we're good team players on Team Canada, and we're willing to do what we can to support an expansion project if it's needed. We ask other provinces.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, he's singing a different tune now. Well, we'll be good Team Canada players and this kind of stuff. So.
We've been down the road before where it gets all the way to the finish line, they cut us off. I mean, there is no trust with Alberta, with people to the east and west of us.
Okay, again, there might be news on that. There might be news on that. Okay. As for J.D. Vance, yeah.
The Trump derangement syndrome in Canada, even in Alberta, you have people that hate Trump and hate Carney, and you go, well, how can you hate them both? They're completely different people. Like, I can understand if you hate Trump and hate Poilievre, then at least you're kind of on the same line. But to distrust liberal politics and conservative politics makes no sense. But we're being spoon-fed to hate Trump. I mean, everything the guy does is amplified and turned around and made backwards. But if you wash away all of that, like I've been in international trade before. I've gone to Japan and Korea trying to promote Alberta businesses. You look at the politicians that come along with that, it's dead weight. I mean, they open up a door, but all they want to do is eat free, in my opinion.
All right. Thank you, Bob. Let's go to Southern Ontario. Tom is in Southern Ontario. Hi, Tom.
Hi, I'm actually in Southern Alberta.
Southern Alberta works just fine as well. Sorry about that. My bad.
No, not bad. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate your phone.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. What's your opinion?
My opinion's on just about a lot of things you talked about on the show today. One, social media's effect on issues in our country. Because I'm fairly old, it kind of leaves me wondering why somebody, and this is a bad joke, it can be a John Doe in another country on social media, can make a statement and we get a whole lot of focus on it. We get a lot of talk about it. I recently visited the Maritimes and I listened to a younger man than me singing in a little restaurant and talking about the water crisis in Prince Edward Island. He was trucking drinking water to his place and his father's place never before in their lives. I come home to my little farm in southern Alberta. So grateful this morning we're finally getting a little bit of snow, some moisture. But the reality is Canada's in a drought. To try and get some attention on that is almost secondary to everything that goes across on social media.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
The other comment I want to make is, we blame past governments. We blame. All of it is doing us absolutely no good because in this province of Alberta, we're currently blaming a government that was in power once for 4 years for our problem. We've lived through 40 years of government that had opportunity to make this the strongest, richest place on the planet, and we failed. So blaming somebody else doesn't matter. And the other thing that really gets me emotional this morning is the fact that we're really focused always on
our differences in Canada, and it keeps us from ever really solving problems. If we would unite.
Tom. Yeah. A nice thought. I don't think we're quite in the kumbaya mood today, not by the sounds of things. You're one of the rare birds there. Thank you for your call. Be right back. This is Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
On the Canada-U.S. relationship, Jason is in Calgary up next. You're on Talkback. Hi, Jason.
Thanks. Hi, Rob. Thanks for having me on today. I appreciate the time. So I want to start with a quick preamble. Unfortunately, hearing a few people on calling in, insulting other people's intelligence about what their viewpoints are, and that's a little discouraging when, unfortunately, whether you like it or not, we're all in it together. So when we look at it and starting off with insulting other people's intelligence, for me, at least gets me not to want to listen to their opinions. But to
Fair
get
enough.
on to what you've been asking about, number one with Mr. Carney, his tone, though that might be what he's thinking, and that might be at the high level of where he's at. We all know Trump likes to take things personally. We've seen it for years with different leaders, including Trudeau, where you make an offhand comment and it sets you back 10 steps versus negative, like nil impact, unfortunately. Might be where he's thinking, but unfortunately making a flippant comment like that, I think will backfire in him. And when it comes to certain things with Mr. Vance, I don't disagree when it comes to the whole picture. When it comes to our current disagreement trade-wise and why people are upset with Trump, he's minimizing the reason why they're upset with Trump. It has nothing to do with, if you want to say immigration, if you want to say how we handle our oil. He's taken our relationship, whether it's been for better or worse, and in my opinion, set it on fire. And Stern, who was we commonly looked at as our most trusted partner, to our lack of better words, an enemy. And like, yes, our politicians have made mistakes for decades. You can go back as long as you want. And I think it was Diefenbaker that referred to the U.S. as the sleeping elephant. And that's the thing. It's not sleeping anymore. He's rolling all around. And, like, no matter what everybody thinks, like, we are a small economy in comparison. We're 40 million people to 400 million people. We're not the big kid in the schoolyard. And right now, Trump and all of his buddies are using it to push us around, and we got to be smarter about it and not think that we can do without them.
All right. Very interesting, Jason. Thank you for your call. Let's go to Tim is up next, also in Calgary today. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Mr. Snow. Thank you very much for calling. It's the first time calling. I appreciate everything that's said on the call. I just wanted to say about the us and them in Calgary. The fact is that I'm a proud Canadian, a proud Calgarian, a proud Albertan, but effectively I think we will do better in Canada than outside of Canada. As for trade and things like that, dealing with the president of the United States is kind of like dealing with nailing Jello to the wall. He'll sign a deal, then basically reject it, and sign a deal, reject it, sign a deal, reject it. The comments from Vance, although I may not like the gentleman myself, I kind of agree with him. We've been fighting trade east-west, north-south for 130 years. So effectively, whether it was a liberal administration or conservative administration, we need to look for new markets. We can no longer be dependent. And as for Mr. Carney's comment about nothing to say to Trump, really, what is there to say? The guy rejected a trade deal based on a commercial from Doug Ford in Ontario. If that's going to be your deal breaker, then the guy's not even worth negotiating with unless he comes to the table. Like everything we've ever signed with him, he called the USMCA the greatest deal he'd ever signed, and now calls it a piece of crap.
Right. Okay. All right, Tim. You've provided a good synopsis of your opinion there. Thank you for being a first-time caller as well. Appreciate that. And when we come back, some time to fit you in at 1-833-668-2577 and have your say on Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
We've been talking about the Canada-U.S. relationship today. Recent remarks from Prime Minister Carney. Asked, when was the last time you spoke with Donald Trump? He said, who cares? There are no burning issues to discuss. And posting from J.D. Vance on social media, the U.S. Vice President, Canadians need to stop blaming Canada's problems on Donald Trump. 1-833-668-2577. Scott is up next in Kitchener. Hi, Scott.
Hey, Rob. How are you?
I'm very good, Scott. Thanks for calling.
Excellent. I'll keep it clean today and not make you upset. So okay. I really think that we need to no worries. I think we need to step back and look at the big picture here. And it almost we are tiny compared to the U.S. All these other countries have done deals with him already, like it or not. Whether he is what he is or whatever, his job is to look after the United States. Correct? And our leaders are supposed to look after Canada. Right? Our leaders are supposed to look after Canada. We've been, well, golly, man, like the last 10, 12, 13 years, we're always struggling. We're tripping over ourselves to make ourselves better and stronger for I don't want to call it values, for wokeness, for instance, and just garbage stuff that does nothing really good for anyone except a group or two here or there, but I really think we need to start looking within Canada. It's even the media every day. Like, I live in Kitchener, so Mike Farwell comes on. Well, the first thing he talks about every farting day is, well, do you see what Donald Trump said? Or what do you think about this in the state? Who cares? Who literally cares? Like, let's work on Canada, make an agreement with him. If he breaks it, you know what? Let's not be so reliant. Let's build things here. Let's attract investment here. Let's harvest Alberta. Let's harvest our pulp, our hydro. Let's be a power on our own. I don't understand why people don't see this and they want to focus all. It's like deflecting everything that's wrong with Canada. Let's put it all on Trump. Everything's Trump's fault. Like, have a conversation with somebody. First thing they say is, well, Donald Trump is this. He's not doing anything. He's looking after his country, which he should. Rob, I appreciate your platform.
Do you think the U.S. Vice President actually has a point then?
Shucks, yes. Holy cow.
Shucks, yeah. Okay, all right.
I can't believe that more people here don't see that. Like, what in the world? Like, if we didn't neglect Canada so bad for so many years, and instead of trying to go on everybody else's coattails and make Canada a superpower on its own, like let's go, let's go, let's build big, like he says.
Yeah,
let's get something done.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I mean, you're one of the people who thinks J.D. Vance is right on the money and that he's dropping truth bombs. Fair enough. Others want J.D. Vance to be polite, just stick things where the sun don't shine. And, they have their elbows way up and usually Canadian flags on their social media accounts. And even some Americans have been weighing in on what they think of Canada, and if they ever think of Canada. And some of them, they don't like J.D. Vance either. But, J.D. Vance put it out there. Your problems are made in Canada problems, and it's because of the people you elect, and stop blaming Donald Trump for all your problems. Lots of opinions on all of those issues today. And thank you for sharing your opinions. Really appreciate it. Great start to Talkback for the week. Brand new topic for tomorrow. And always the latest breaking news Coming up next on News Radio.